Hi everyone, welcome back to our RBT training. So in our last session, we talked a little bit about our prompting procedures and prompting hierarchy. So we've got that on our back here as a nice reminder as we start working through our next section, which is going to include how we use those prompting procedures to teach essential skills. And here particularly, we're going to discuss shaping, doing task analyses, and chaining procedures, okay? So to start off today, we're going to start talking about shaping first. Shaping is a procedure used to create new behavior from previously learned behaviors by reinforcing successive approximations of the desired behavior. So let's start off with a SAFMED card. So go ahead and grab your card. On one side, write the term shaping. And on the other, the definition. Our definition today is a procedure used to create a new behavior from previously learned behavior by reinforcing successful approximations of the target behavior. Okay, so what are some things that we need to consider when we're shaping? Well, first, we need to figure out exactly what it is that we want to shape, right? What is our target behavior or the end result, the desired behavior, the terminal behavior, okay? Typically, we can make an operational definition of it, so it's so specific, remember, that anyone who teaches that behavior is going to teach to the same exact behavior, right? It's so important with consistency. So using an operational definition to define exactly what it is or what it looks like is very important, okay? Because for someone, if we're going to use Mr. Potato here, and we were to create a shaping procedure that was used to teach all of the steps that go into making Mr. Potato Head, playing with him, right? So it might include something like, even starting off with how do you start with a toy, right? So maybe you have the toy, you need to literally shape the behavior of, first we need to open up the top. Then we get out the pieces. What pieces do we need? We need the ears, right? We need the eyes. And no hair today, although this is pretty crazy and awesome. Teeth. What else are we missing? Nose. Okay. I think those are our basic bits and pieces there. Yep. Okay. So we would want to figure out what are the different things that this person is going to have to do in order to meet the end result and figure out what is that end result, right? So our end result behavior might be that they end up having a piece that looks something like this. So our target behavior here, our terminal behavior might be putting together a large, giant Mr. Potato Head with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, okay? However, we could also say that a terminal behavior might be getting out all of the pieces, well, starting off with opening up the top of the hat, getting out all of the pieces, putting them on, and then putting the hat on, and then cleaning up. All right, so now I'm done playing. Now I've got to take off the hat, put all the pieces back in, and I have officially completed my potato head play sequence, okay? So knowing exactly what you have in mind, what that end goal is going to help you create the procedure and create consistency amongst yourself teaching it and other staff. So if there's any confusion about what your expectation is, make sure you clarify that with the person or people you're working with. So again, you know, as we talked about, another crucial factor in a shaping procedure is that initial step, right? So, okay, I know the end goal is for him to, you know, take it all, to do these pieces, and then for him to look like Mr. Potato Head and then clean up. Okay, we've got a full play sequence. But what's the initial behavior? Is it that we have all those pieces laid out for him and you say, play with Mr. Potato, and he starts the task and the sequence of all of those steps? Or is it you say, play with Mr. Potato, and all of the pieces are inside and he just gets this? So then that first step is he has to take off the hat. Maybe he has to work out first so that he gets the hat off. But, okay? So it's important to know exactly what that initial behavior is, and then also identify all of those steps that go into that shaping behavior, right? So for Mr. Potato Head, let's see. We're going to go into this in more detail in a little while, but this is what's called a task analysis. We've literally broken down all of those steps for us and figured out what it is that needs to happen in hierarchy. So first we put the feet on, then the eyes, then the nose, and the mouth, and the ears, and the arms, and then the hat, okay? And then there are directions below here. But we might not have something as specific and concrete as these manipulatives, these pieces that are right in front of us, these tangibles that we can hold, feel, and touch, all right? So taking Mr. Potato Head out of the equation, let's talk about some other things and ways that we can use shaping and what can be shaped. The way behavior looks can be shaped. So maybe appropriate walking down the hallway, or shaping the behavior of initiating an interaction. All right. So factors that would go into that is, first you identify with the individual. Look, you know, our end goal is to go up to someone, say hello, smile, make eye contact, shake their hand. All right. But then what's the initial behavior? The initial behavior is teaching them to identify when someone is approachable. What does that look like? Maybe they make eye contact with them. Maybe they smile at them. It's a cue to initiate the behavior, okay? And then what are all of the steps that we have to teach that go into shaping, engaging someone in conversation? So that would probably be teaching that individual to, okay, I know that they're available for conversation. They smiled and looked at me. They're not talking to anyone else. They're not busy doing anything. Then teaching them to walk over with a pleasant smile or look on their face. Make eye contact with that individual. Say hello. Shake their hand or ask for a high five, right? And so all of those steps go into that shaping procedure. So we can shape the way that a behavior looks. We can also shape how often a behavior occurs. So the number of times an individual asks for a snack, okay? Or maybe the number of times they raise a hand. Or we can also shape how long a behavior occurs. So the duration that they stay at their seat, or the duration that they read. All of those things can be shaped. And remember, we're going to talk a little bit more about this also in our DTI book, but sometimes we use token economies to shape that behavior, right? So maybe every minute they're on task, well, first we'd have to identify, again, some of our shaping factors, right? The terminal behavior. My terminal behavior is this individual reading for 10 minutes. But right now, step one, I just want them to read for 5 minutes. So I might cover up half of these, okay? And I might give them a token every minute that they're on task. So I'm reinforcing successive approximations, okay? And along with reinforcing those successive approximations, we talked about, what a behavior looks like. Another great example is teaching kids language, right? So maybe like using a carrier phrase like, I want the cat, or I want the ball, or I want eat, I want drink, any of those things. Or maybe you're teaching them just to identify or say maybe someone's name, like mom or dad or cat, ball. So you can start off with exactly what it is, that terminal behavior, the end goal. Let's take, for example, them identifying a picture of a cat. So first, in shaping, you might start off with k, right? We're going to use an initial verbal prompt, a partial verbal, k. And then over time, we're going to increase our expectation, reinforcing along the way. So good, k. They model you. Awesome job, cat. Awesome. Now you're going to try reinforcing the next closest step to cat, which is k-a, right? The C-A. So you say k-a. Hopefully they model you. And you say, good job. That is k-a, cat. Good. Okay? All the way until they reach that end goal. Then you're going to expect them to do the full word cat. All 3 letters. K-at. Cat. They model you, reinforce. Okay, so you're reinforcing successive approximations until they reach that end goal. Something else that we can shape is latency, the time it takes in between behaviors. So for example, waiting time is a great one. And then we can also do something like intensity. We could do volume level or quiet level, right? So the quieter they get, the more you reinforce them. The louder they get, the more you reinforce them. How hard they're working, the intensity, okay? Like weightlifting or running, those sorts of things. Okay, good. So those are all ways that we can use shaping to create a new behavior. But it's essential that they have some initial form of it, something that we can work off of first. Okay? All right, I'm going to stop there, and then we're going to go on to our task analyses and shaping.